Let me ask you this. I've seen this online, a couple of your fans are downright harsh about what they suspect is your secret interest in the Illuminati or membership in the Freemasons, and I guess they point to Freemason symbology on your guitars. Am I stating that correctly?
Yeah. Our fans have noticed that stuff, and we do. There's a lot of that iconography associated with the band Angels and Airwaves, and it's hard to describe. We don't get into our band's very esoteric. We don't get into the descriptions and meanings of a lot of the symbology that we use. We let people kind of find out those meanings through the music and through the ethos of the band, through the pieces of art that we create, like the films, and it's something that we don't really talk about specifically because I think that the treasure hunt is there for people to find as they get into the band and look into what it is we're trying to do with the music and with the films.
And is it sort of in part to create an aura of mystery?
Well, I guess in a sense, but I guess only because I think when there is mystery, it causes people to engage a little bit more. It causes them to a lot more effort to digest what it is we're doing, and so the investment's greater. Because the thing with Angels and Airwaves, this band it's not a normal band. There's a reason and a message behind everything that we do. About the way you look at yourself and the way you look at the world around you, and by doing the types of things that we do and being a part of the things that we're a part of, it allows people to really take a lot of time to learn and understand what it is, and rather than just hearing the song on the radio and say, hey, I could sing it along or I could sing along or not, we definitely didn't want to be that.
Are you a Freemason?
Possibly.
That's not a no. You're just going to leave it at that?
Yeah, we just don't talk about that stuff.
Do you have songs? Do you have your written songs for that band? And I haven't heard it, but that with Masonic themes.
On
some level,
I think that the Masonic themes would center around consciousness and free thinking man and the idea of one of the things that people forget is that the United States was a grand experiment, specifically, as the first free country for a free thinking man, and the idea of tolerance, of not taking one religion over the other, and I think that when you look at some of those attributes, like we've really tried to put those strongly within the context of our art.
I'm sure there are people going to tear their hair out at this statement, but I mean, you can remember that many of the founding fathers were Masons, that the basic message they had was one of brotherhood and lifting up humanity, as opposed to secretly controlling and pulling the strings on the whole planet. So I know that a lot of stories have sprung up about the Illuminati and Masons. The only Masons that I know are pretty good people, salt of the earth folks, but maybe they're just too far down the rung to be in control.
Well, I think that like anything else, there's bad players and bad actors in any kind of group of individuals. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, and from my point of view, I've always wanted to help out the ascension of man anyway. But you know what? That's debatable that I've ever done that, because when you really look at the career of Blink-182, we have definitely probably helped with the evolution of the
Okay, so this little rabbit trail comes courtesy of my good friend B. I think he would rather stay anonymous at this point, but B, you know who you are. So yeah, he's been mentioning Tom DeLonge being a Freemason a few times to me, and he sent me some links, and I wound up kind of going down that rabbit hole yesterday. And so, and I guess for a while I just wasn't super interested, because I was never really much of a Blink-182 fan or anything like that. But as you can see, establishing that this guitarist for Blink-182 and now his new band Angels and Airwaves, Tom DeLonge is quite easily easily shown to be a Freemason and into the mystery schools, and he's also a huge UFO advocate, UFO researcher, and you can see him talking to people like Larry King about the UFOs being real, and he's kind of been back in the headlines again in that vein recently with the email leaks and being mentioned along with Podesta and the whole disclosure narrative, supposedly being being one of the people that Podesta has contacted about UFOs and aliens and all this. And it is really just crazy when you couple that, when you couple those two things, his openly Masonic beliefs and his UFO obsession, with the kinds of things we see in his new band, in the artwork and the lyrics and the themes, and especially in this film that I found from 2011 called Love. And that's what I wanted to talk about, because it's, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time and you've seen how often I've referred back to Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey many times because of all the symbolism in there and just how it kind of ties into this idea of space travel itself being used basically as sort of an occult allegory for, these Gnostic spiritual concepts. This, once again, like once I saw this little clip here of the astronaut sort of having, the space psychedelica, type of sequence, which you see a lot. I see it more and more now that I'm kind of just paying attention to it from this context, where it absolutely is, it's depicting the spiritual experience, and where space is almost synonymous with the spiritual realm with higher dimensions. But the Love movie is just crazy because it in some ways it's almost like a bad remake of 2001 with kind of some twists. But basically it starts out during the Civil War, and some Confederate soldier is sent on a mission to go check out this weird object, and so he goes and looks over this ridge, and you find out later that what he sees is this basically alien cube looking thing. And then it fast forwards into the future, where this astronaut has been sent on this mission to go basically to go back up to the ISS, which has been abandoned for several decades. And so he goes up there and he's hanging out on the ISS, and then there's basically everyone on Earth, there's war, or I don't know if it's a nuclear war or whatever, but everyone else on the Earth kind of just goes quiet, and so he's up there on the ISS by himself for several years, and kind of goes crazy, or kind of has a lot of, it's sort of a psychological mind game kind of thing. And he somehow the journal of the Confederate soldier is up there, and he finds it and he's reading it. And so, like I said, it's a lot of the movie is him sort of like going crazy and thinking about people back on Earth and longing for human contact and longing for what he's left behind. And then eventually this alien black cube shows up outside of the ISS, and he suits up in his spacesuit and then enters into it. And then on the inside, it's like this big elaborate. It's like it looks like a human-made building or installation, where it's like where part of it is like this old mansion, and part of it's like a military facility. And so it just kind of has this big weird sequence, and then supposedly it's like a big, like the aliens are talking to him, and it's like a scrapbook of human memory. And And then just almost and then this scene where he kind of like has this, you know, basically it's showing his third eye being opened. This, you know, apotheosis kind of moment where he's, you know, sees the bright light, and it's just this big sort of, he's being kind of ripped apart, and you know, just like at the end of 2001. And so, yeah, basically like the parallels with like 2001, where 2001 shows the monolith, you know, back in the early stages of human evolution, and then once again on the moon, and then once again off of Jupiter or of Saturn in the original script. But you know, so this whole idea of this alien technology, this alien consciousness, assisting humanity in this process of change. And so the whole movie, of course, is just loaded with esoteric symbolism, and you can hear Tom DeLonge himself, you know, admitting that everything we do, from the music to the films, is, you know, is intentional and full of symbolism, and it's clear to see that. And you know, on the surface level, they talk about it being about human connection and relationships and all that, and it is, but then if you understand kind of what they're doing with that basically, that, you know, when they're talking about that longing for human connection, you know, really this is tying back into that Gnostic idea of monism, of all as one. You know, we're all connected, we're all part of the whole, we're all sort of threads, you know, in the tapestry sort of idea. There's lots of ways they use to describe that, but it's really preaching the same Gnostic gospel, and all these things should be really, you know, eye-opening to us when we think about the fact that he's talking to Larry King about UFOs, and is sort of becoming this prominent face in this whole disclosure meme. But he's clearly a Freemason. You know, should, I think, cause pause to anyone who wants to point to him as like evidence that this is all happening organically. This whole disclosure narrative that it's just is not. If you don't think it's being controlled, and that this is a controlled release and a controlled narrative, then I don't think you are using a lot of discernment there. But to me, it's just amazing when the more I see this kind of symbolism, where it's this space psychedelic, where more and more I continue coming back to this idea that even this iconography of a man in a spacesuit, a human in a spacesuit, that in itself is a type of occult symbolism, that there's an esoteric meaning to that, or probably, you know, multiple layers. And I still don't know if I can fully kind of articulate how that works or what it's trying to say, but I don't know if it has something to do with the suit kind of representing the physical, the mortal body, and then you have the living person inside, sort of like the, you know, the spirit trapped in the mortal coil, you know. And so the idea is to, of course, it's all about ascension and breaking out of that, and not, I mean, who wants to live their whole life in a spacesuit, right? That would just be stifling and constricting and horrible. And so maybe that is sort of a statement about the Gnostic perception of, you know, how they think we're supposed to view our physical bodies. And I don't know, so it's very interesting. I just wanted to pass this along. But yeah, all the pieces, when you put them all together, they're very they paint a very interesting picture. Thanks for watching.
Underworld. It's all about the monuments and pyramids on Mars and the mathematical, geometrical shapes, and see, there's all these pyramids and stuff on Mars, and they make all these weird like angles and stuff. But those angles are the key to tetrahedral physics. And once you understand the science of that, that's the secret to space travel and time travel.